Hey YouTube. So I just woke up and I was thinking it's Friday and I said that I would have my my second swimming lesson video done by Wednesday. So I am 2 days past what I said and I feel really bad. So my second lesson is still really small. It doesn't have much to do with the arms, using them or anything like that. So I was thinking I'd just go ahead and put it together on my phone right now. And then hopefully by the third lesson, I can get outside or at least get on a camera somewhere and do the video. Sorry, my hair is like really not cooperating today. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the second step in teaching your child how to swim. And so the first lesson, just a recap, we talked about getting in the pool and getting out of the pool. So now, what do you do once your child is in the pool? So it depends. Okay, let me talk about age groups. That's what we'll talk about here. When you get in the pool, and at what age are you putting your child in the pool? So I used to teach parent-baby classes, which means that I would be in the pool with the baby and the parent, and more often than not, the baby would be in the parent's arms, and I would just be motioning what we're supposed to be doing. So parent-baby classes. Parent-baby classes are from ages 6 months to 2 years old. So if you are putting your child in the water at that age, you want to be in the water with your child. You don't want to put your baby in the water. And you don't ever want to use floaties or a tube thing. I understand when you want to do that when they're playing around or as a game, but if you're making it and, if you're doing it as a lesson, then you need to do it as a lesson. And just as reasoning why we don't put floaties on the kids when we're doing the lessons is because that makes them think that floaties are for swimming, just normal swimming all the time. And also, it won't give them as much confidence. You want them to be able to feel their weight in the water, even if you're still kind of holding on to them. They need to feel like they are in the water and they have control. So for ages 6 months to 2 years, the lower end, so I'd say 6 months to a year, you're going to do something called lifts and tips. Lifts and tips. I'm trying to say that clearly. So what that is you're literally going to lift the baby up and then tip them down in the water. So it'll be a motion. I'll do it with my camera, so it's going to look really weird, but you're going to lift the baby up and then you're going to tip them in. So when the baby's looking at me, that's what they see. They are seeing go like that. So you're going to lift them up and you're going to tip them in the water like that. So their shoulders are going to be going in the water, maybe even their ears a little bit. And so the water's going to be right here. And then eventually what they're going to do is, so if the water is right here, at first they'll just go like that, and they'll kind of make a face trying to get away from the water. But then eventually, once they get older, what they'll do is actually tip their face a little bit in the water and blow bubbles out and then come up. So that's what you want to be doing with your baby for teaching them, to put their face in the water. One of the old things I've heard is that you blow on the baby's face and they hold their breath and you just stick them under. Which that's true. When you blow on a baby's face, they do kind of suck in air like that, and that's fine and everything, but more often than not, what happens is you stick them under and they either panic or they're under too long and they come back up and then they've taken in a lot of water and then they either throw it up or they cough it up, and that's not good. And that also can be very jarring to the child, so you don't really want to do that. So lifts and tips is what you're going to do with your baby. And by the way, when you're holding them, you want to hold them like this. You don't want to grab onto your baby like you would if you're holding them like right here, like, oh, little baby. You want them to be facing away from you, so looking away from you. And you want to be holding them from their armpits. So underneath their armpits, right here, is where you want to be holding them. And you want your hand to be straight out. You don't want to curve it in like that. You want it to be straight out. And then you want to go lift and tip. Lift and tip. Okay, with both your hands. So that's what you're going to do for the younger ages. For older ages, what you want to do is you want to tell them to hold onto the wall with both hands, and then you want them to try and blow bubbles out of their mouth. Now, if your child is scared of going under the water, what you say is, can we touch our chins to the water? And then you see, okay, I get my chin wet now. Okay, can we get our lips wet? Can we get our bottom lip wet? And work your way up until they're all the way under. And you want them to be blowing bubbles out of their mouth. Now, if they are old enough and comfortable enough with it, they can blow them out of their nose. Whichever when they're old enough, they can personally decide. But when they're little, like when we just start our classes, so right after parent babies, 2-year-olds, we just have them, blowing bubbles. And honestly, usually what it starts as is not blowing them in the water, but just going like that. And you say, "Good job, that's great." They're supposed to be doing that. They're not necessarily supposed to be all the way under the water. So that's fine. And the older they get, the more you can challenge them. And that's just pretty much that's the same way it is with anything. The older your child gets, the more you can challenge your child and try and have them do new things. So that's kind of the next lesson. That's the first thing we always do. And with my kids, I was doing bubbles for everybody, even the adults. But for the younger kids, we would do bubbles until they were consistently doing them, going like this. 5 seconds. Okay, you count to 5. You can even say, "Okay, ready? I'm going to count to 5." And and you always want them to wear goggles. That's the other thing, because for me personally, when we were teaching, that water is really chlorinated, so you don't want to be having their eyes in the water. It's just really irritating. So, but if your pool is like a saltwater pool, then the goggles aren't as necessary. But when they go underwater, though, it is nice to be able to hold your hand up and go like this, and it's kind of a game to them. So that's always nice. So goggles, I always said goggles were, you needed to bring goggles if you were going to be in class. And I always carried a couple pairs on me that the kids could use and everything. So that's the next lesson. And so we started off with just a safety. Number 1 was like a safety lesson, how to get in and out of the pool. And number 2 is blowing bubbles. So blowing bubbles is for everybody, 6 months to adults. So that's the next lesson I just covered. And then the lesson after that, we will start doing glides. So that's just a little preview. And we'll talk about sandwich hands and a couple other terms that we used when we were doing glides. So that's that, and I hope that's helpful to everybody. And I will make another one next week, all right? Thank you. Bye-bye.